Hey everybody, Kyle here. Color is often described as something that some artists have a real knack for using and other artists don't. For some reason, color seems to be thought of as a less technical ability and more of an innate ability, and I don't really believe in innate abilities compared to stuff that people can learn through hard work. I believe that effective use of color is something that you can learn, and it's not nearly as difficult as people who write about artists with magical colorist abilities. It's not nearly as complicated or obscure as they make it seem. I have often been described as being someone who has a real knack for color, and I would just like to, spoil the magic by explaining how I deal with it. The trick that I have found to dealing with color effectively is, it's going to sound counterintuitive, but don't think of color first. It's acknowledging that value is vastly more important to an image than hue. Look at these two images, for example. One of them is an image, the other is some smeary crap floating there. I've taken the same photograph, and in one image, I've removed all the color information and just presented you with the black and white, or the luminosity. The other image, I've taken away all of the lightness-darkness value and presented you with just the color information at neutral gray-ish level of lightness-darkness. Clearly, a lot more information is conveyed in the value than the color. So the trick to dealing with color effectively is to kind of keep that value scale floating around in your head. If the image works as a black and white image, it will work when the color is added. When you're putting color, instead of thinking of it primarily as color relationships, you have to think of it as different values, different levels of lightness and darkness that are being applied to the painting. You can eventually develop this technique through work of being able to see different colors as different lightness, darkness intensities. It can be surprisingly difficult, as a color like a very vibrant, vivid red might look very bright to you, but if you were to take a black and white photograph of it, it can actually be a pretty dark color. So your brain will kind of change the way you perceive colors to either appear brighter or darker. An easy trick is if you have a digital camera, just put it in black and white mode and constantly take pictures of your painting and take pictures of your palette and try to match colors, because if it works in black and white, it'll work in color. And once you have that under control, color suddenly becomes a lot easier to handle. Generally, if value is handled well, color just works. So if you're, an example is if you're trying to restore frames or trying to restore something or match a color, it might seem quite the insurmountable challenge, but if you can get the value dead on, then there's actually a lot of flexibility with color. You can be off by a surprising amount and no one will notice but you. So just make sure that value is what you try to match, not color. Once you've practiced and once you've developed the ability to sort of look at a bright color and convert it into its grayscale equivalent in your head, as soon as you're able to do that, your ability to use colors effectively in a painting will skyrocket. It becomes quite easy. So yeah, the trick to good color is kind of ignoring it. It's counterintuitive, but that's the trick that I've discovered, and try it out. If you come up with something better, let me know.